Hi everybody, how are you doing? My name is Suyash Keshri. I'm a wildlife presenter, filmmaker and conservationist. And today I'm doing a very special video that all of you guys have been asking for forever. What is in a bag of a wildlife photographer and filmmaker? As you can see, we have about 6 bags here and of course the tripod. So let's just get into it. Wildlife photography is unlike any genre of photography. There is nothing that you have in control. The animals, your subjects that is, they can be in bad lighting, they can be in good lighting. It can be rainy, it can be snowing, it can be 48 degrees Celsius and you still have to shoot. More often than not, you're not shooting. Why? Because there is nothing to shoot. Especially when you're working with big cats, you have to be extremely patient. You can go hours without seeing one. And then finally, when you see one, you have to be ready. In wildlife photography, you just have a couple seconds to get the shot. So to make sure your shots are good, you need the right kind of equipment. Okay, so let's begin with my first bag, which is my primary backpack. So this is a Think Tank International Airport version 3.0, which is my favorite backpack because earlier I used to carry a Gura Gear, which as many of you photographers might know, does not come with these wheels. So, 20, 30 kilograms of weight you had to be logging through your shoulders, through all the airport security checks and all, which gets really tiring, especially after a long shoot. Okay, so let me open this. And this has the big guns. Yes, that is a 200 to 600 on the left and the big boy, which is the 400mm f2.8, and I'll just get into the cameras right now. Okay, so this is all in the primary backpack. Let's get the second backpack in. All right, let's see what's in here. This is our Vanguard series backpack. I love the color. I wish they had that in Think Tank as well. This looks like a wildlife photographer's bag. That looks like as if you're going on a corporate meeting. What I'm gonna do is just lay it all out on the table. Then of course, I will be talking more about what I use what for. All right, let's do bag number 3. That's a lot of equipment already. I hope we have enough space. And bag 5 and 6 would just go like this because we need to show you what's inside of them. This is my safari backpack and this is a bag with all our chargers. So let's get into it. Let's begin with my baby, which is the 400mm f2.8 by Sony. This is an absolute beast and a lot of people think this is a very heavy lens, but look at this. It's actually the lightest 400mm f2.8 ever made. This is my go-to combination, the Sony 400mm f2.8 with the Sony A1. This is my go-to combination for wildlife. Honestly, if I have this, I can get anything I need. I don't need any other equipment. So I guess this video is over, right? I'm kidding. Those are all equally important and we'll get to them one by one. But what I love about this lens is of course the lightweight. It is f2.8, which gives really nice bokeh in the background. It works fantastic in low light conditions. And when paired with A1, you get 30 frames per second, really high quality images. And this combination is also very robust because this is weatherproof and this is also weather resistant. So with the rains, with monsoon or heat conditions, with even snow, this combination will do justice to your wildlife photography. And of course, there's a lot more to this lens, which we will cover in another video. Same with the Sony A1 as well. But this combination is extremely costly. The lens itself, when it was launched, it was about 12 to 13 lakhs, which is, I guess, between $16,000 and $18,000, which is crazy. And the Sony A1 started at about 6 lakhs. But of course, the cost of both of them have come down a little bit, just a tad bit, not significantly. And one more thing, what I have on them is actually a lens coat, camo coat. These lenses are whitish in color, so that reflects a lot of light and it might distract the wildlife. Why I also put this coating is, if you come closer, this is quite thick and it actually protects the lenses from all the scratches, bumps and all the dust. So if I do this, you'll see a lot of dust coming out of the camera. or rather a lot of dust coming out of this lens coat. Next, we have the Sony A9 with a 200-600. And this is equally a beast. For me, this has to be one of the best lenses for photography and filming because it is super sharp. And what I love about them is usually, you have the zoom lenses, which once you zoom in, the zoom comes out and it's very tricky. But this one is an internal 90-degree zoom. It can be just rotated with 2 fingers. Again, I have the camo coat on this. We lost the camo coat for this one. Not sure what exactly happened. But this is again the Sony A9. So that is 30 frames per second. This is 20 frames per second. When you're looking for a good lens, when you're looking for a good camera, it is important to make sure that they are both fast. While that is f2.8, this is 5.6 to 6.3. So not the best in very low light conditions, but anytime after sunrise and right before sunset, this lens is amazing. It gives you the focal length, and this is very cost effective. I think when it was launched in India, it was just about under 2 lakhs, and now it's about 1.5, 1.6 lakhs. Sony A9 on the other hand was still costly when it was launched, but there's A9 II and this is A9 I actually. There's another one which is A9 II, which is a step up, and the best of the best, which is the Sony A1. So this is very fast, again really good for wildlife, 20 frames per second, blackout free shooting. If you don't know what that means let me just show you what blackout free shooting means. So usually if you look at other DSLR cameras or mirrorless cameras, there's a blackout shooting. So when you click on the shutter, the screen goes black like this. But with the Sony A9, A9 II and the A1, you have blackout free shooting. For that, I need to go from single shot to high speed continuous. And then look at the beauty of this. And if you think this is fast, let me just quickly show you guys the power of Sony A1 with the 400mm f2.8. Okay, let me bring down the ISO. All right, here we go. Ready? That's crazy. Then we have this, which is the Sony a6400 and the 100-400. I used to use 100-400 a lot while filming. By the way, when we're doing serious filming, we use the Sony FX6 and the FS7 too. We don't have it here because I'll make another video about wildlife filming specifically, but these are the 2 cameras we use. Anyway, when I'm filming, I use the 100-400 lens and the 200-600 together because you want that zoom capability, which the 400mm f2.8, which is a prime lens, does not have. The only issue I always see with the 100-400, even though it gives you a good distance, even though it's a sharp and light camera, the only problem I have with that while filming is the zoom. You see, with 200-600, there was internal zoom, just 90-degree tilt, but here you start here and go all the way like this. Still, it's pretty compact. Sony has done a great job with this. And again, I have the lens coat, camo coats on just to protect my lens and make sure that white is not very reflective on the animal's eye. Here, I used to use the a6400 along with this lens, which is the 18-35mm lens, just for vlogging, because what was very cool about a6400 is that it was made for bloggers. So the screen comes out like this, and then boom, right here you have the screen. So when you're vlogging, of course you're not going to vlog with this lens, but when you're vlogging, someone will take this camera or this shot and think that I am vlogging with this, but it's okay. When you're vlogging, you can look directly at yourself, which is super helpful rather than having a screen on the side, because then the view kind of looks on the left or the right and the audience thinks you're like reading from something or you're not looking directly at them. Okay, let's place it down. One camera that is not here, which our cameraman is shooting with, is the Sony FX3. I'm just gonna show that to you very quick. So this is the Sony FX3. Let me just see that. And this is the Sony 24-105mm lens that we're using to shoot. So whenever we're doing a little bit of filming behind the scenes or vlog style content, we're using that. not necessarily for photography. This is a specific film line camera, and of course I will get to the mic that we're using in just a minute. So this is the back side of the camera, and this is the DJI mic attached to it. I'll be talking about this mic in just a second. So the DJI mic, this was launched very recently by DJI. By the way, this is not a sponsored video. I wish DJI would sponsor me, but they don't. It's just one of the equipments we use. This was a DJI mic that was launched and super helpful for people like me and for vloggers. This case is like an AirPod case, but kind of big. So this is one of the mics I'm using. It's very good, cordless, and I can just take it out like this and put it back in for charging. But I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm just gonna put that back here. Super convenient, super useful, has a long battery life, and works very well even at long distances. Right next to that, I have the GoPro, which is the GoPro Hero 7 Plus. I know it's quite old now, but I really find it very useful. We utilize it in front of the vehicle, or mounted onto the head, or mounted on the back of the vehicle to try getting some BTS and also shots of us driving. Let's put that back. Okay, so let's move to the right of the table and show you guys the tripod. This is the tripod that I use, which is the Gitzo carbon fiber tripod. The model number, which is quite long, so I'm just going to say it to you guys. I know a lot of people want the model numbers and stuff, and it's written right here. It's a GS5321 V75, and this is a very robust tripod. I've been using it for close to 7 years, have never had any problems with it, touch wood. And similarly, this tripod head, which is the fluid head, which we usually use for filming and sometimes for photography, especially photographing birds in motion and in flight. You know, they move very fast, so kind of panning alongside them is much easier than using traditional tripod heads. So this is the Stackler FSB 8, and again, this is very good. It has panning, tilt, and you can actually balance it according to the weight of the equipment. So there's a balancing mechanism, which I'm not going to get too much technical about, but there's a balancing mechanism right here, which you can set according to the pan and tilt motion that you want, the effort put into it, that is. And this of course opens up, it becomes quite long all the way. There's a camera foot I've put, again from Lens Coat, mostly to protect the tripod, and also when I'm on the field and walking with the tripod, this really gives kind of a good weight to my shoulders so that the tripod doesn't dig into my shoulders. Okay, let's put it off to the side. Daddy long legs. Here we have the Zion Crane. This is the Zion Crane 2. I prefer using the DJI much more, but for the past few months we've been experimenting with this, just because our DJI kind of went a little off board. Basically what happened was we were filming with it, and a bump came, a really bad bump came, and it kind of fell out of the vehicle. It got really damaged. Anyway, so this is the Zion 2. It really helps us shoot a lot of the behind the scenes that you see for virtual safaris, and also keeps the camera very stable. So especially when we're filming with the FX3 and we mount it on here, the camera is very stable because of the three-way gyro stabilized system. Here, this is the battery, and this is some other small things I have. I already spoke about this lens. Then I have the memory card reader. The new Sony cameras use another memory card, which is the CF Express, which are very expensive, but this is a dual memory card reader, CF Express plus SD. Again, really important to have. And then storage is vital. So it's very important to have good storage and take backups very often. So I make sure that I carry 2 hard disks with me throughout. A cap is very important. And of course, we have our own cap, Safari with Suyash labels. And in case you don't know, 100% of the profits and proceeds from these caps, any of my merchandise, goes towards wildlife conservation efforts. We actually constructed 2 water holes in Bandhavgarh National Park and electrified 175 camps here in Bandhavgarh National Park, and those camps are anti-poaching camps, so it's really helping in wildlife conservation efforts. So I'm going to be putting a link here in the description below, as well as a link right on top, in case you want to support our conservation efforts and wear this cool merch. Which, by the way, this is a buff. Again, it really helps with safaris. It protects you from the dust, protects you from the sun. When it's cold out, it protects you from the cold. So this is a buff. We have different designs. Then I have 2 sleeves with me. I usually chain them depending on what I'm wearing. If I'm wearing a t-shirt, then I put these sleeves on, especially in the summertime because it is brutally hot. And as you can see, the cute paw made in it. And the green one has a tiger. Continuing with our merchandise, we just launched these very recently. I always used to carry a knife with me, a multi-tool kit, and we just launched this recently. Again, it has different tools into it, especially a knife. When you're out in the jungles, you need it maybe to cut something, or if you're just having fruits, cut the fruits. It's always an important toolkit to have. It has a screwdriver which you can put different attachments into it, because sometimes we need to open up these equipments, we need to fix up the Gypsy or our car. All right, let's put that back. Once again, you can buy these. I'll leave the link in the description below. Right next to it, we have a headlamp, again, which is very important, especially if you're going in the nighttime, walking around in the jungles, especially in the monsoon season. You know, there are too many snakes, scorpions around. You need to be careful. It also helps with nighttime photography of smaller insects and birds. We also have a torch that I always carry. There's a rechargeable torch, Phoenix, 3000 lumens, very important. Next, I'll just talk a little bit about my binoculars, then we'll get to the audio. So these are the binoculars that I've been using. They're the Bushnell 10x42. They are my favorite binoculars, and there's a little harness that kind of goes around on my backside, so I can just carry the binoculars with me wherever I go instead of holding them throughout. At my heart, I am a wildlife lover, right? So you can take all of this equipment away and I'll be fine with it, but leave me just with my pair of binoculars and I will be completely happy. Because to me, it's more about getting close to wildlife, understanding them and telling stories. And this is where the stories part comes through. But without that as well, I'm totally fine. So you always have to love your craft, no matter what you do. The moment you fall in love with what you do, that's when you start succeeding in it. That's when you start really building a future on it. For the audio equipment, I already talked about the DJI mics, but here we have the Sony KRM XLR mics. This is just going to be able to fit right into your camera and gives a nice handle for the camera as well, again, to move around with. And this mic is very good for recording nat sounds and of course people talking as well. This is actually the mic we used for all our virtual safaris. Super good. We already talked about this. Let's come to this side of the table. We have the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. We use the drones a lot when we're filming outside the reserves or when we have special permissions in the reserves to film. Always making sure never to approach animals close with the drone. We always film from really, really far away, but these are mostly for landscapes and not for wildlife, because sometimes drones can disturb wildlife, which is not good. And right here is the equipment I use the most, and that's my phone. It's the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and it is super handy. 4K, shoots 4K, shoots amazing raw photos as well, and I use it the most probably. And here we have all the cables and the chargers for everything you see in the table. And it's super compact and super easy to carry it all like this. Let me just open these two. I just got one of these bags from Amazon and put all of our wires here. I like to be very organized, so this is very important. And this, last but not the least, this is a small backpack that was given, not backpack, I think it's like, what do you call it? Fanny pack? Male fanny pack? I don't know what you call it, but I call it my safari pack. It was given to me by one of my guests, Sachin Nalva. If he's watching this video, thank you so much. And this is where all my personal items go. Number one, coffee. Very important, especially when I wake up at 4 a.m., 3:30 a.m. or 4 a.m. depending on the time of the year. I have a triple shot espresso with some milk and sugar, usually iced, so I just put a lot of ice in it. It's very important to stay fueled up, so I like to eat in the field, so I usually carry some oats or granola packed into it or something else right here. Then I have a multivitamin. Again, we do safaris back to back for months on end, spending 16 hours in the field. It's very important to stay hydrated and keep your essential vitamins up to the pace. I got a power bank, I got some snacks, I got a deodorant roll-on. I don't usually spray anything, that's not really good, especially for the insects and wildlife around you, but this is important because you just roll it on. Sometimes, you know, when you're with guests, you don't want to be very smelly, and in the monsoon season that gets to you. I've got another torch here, and of course, one of the most important things, a sanitizer. I know this plastic, I hate using plastic, but some things you need it for. And lastly, I have some medicines here, and one of the most important are actually the crocin tablets, which are just painkillers if you're having a headache or a backache or any kind of pain, even cures fever. And that's about it. Oh, wow, that was a long time. It took us forever to shoot, I think, but I think you guys might see a smaller, shorter video. But thank you for following us through. Since you guys followed me right till the end for this video, make sure you subscribe, like, and share this video. Drop a comment below.